The Belleville Area District Library Board will now come to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will begin with the official roll call, and I will call on our secretary, Alma Hughes Scruggs, to call the roll.
Javits,
Here.
Dawson,
I am here for the last time at this table.
Jariga, here, Peters,
Here.
Reese,
Here.
Hughesgrove,
Is
here.
excused absence for Hughes Scruggs.
You mean
I mean-
Stottlemyre.
For Stoudemire. Did you?
I hadn't called her yet. It's okay.
Sad.
That's everyone.
Okay. We are all here except for Tanya, and she is here in spirit. She conveyed her spirits for the holiday. The next item of on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved by Jariga and supported by
Javits.
Jehevitz, that the agenda be approved. Are there any corrections or additions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. As those opposed signify by saying no. There are no opposing votes. The agenda is approved unanimously. Approval of the minutes for the last meeting, that was in November 8th, 2022 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
It has been moved by Dawson
second.
and supported by Priest that those minutes be approved. You received the minutes in advance. They are in the public packet. If there's any additions or corrections to them, this is the time to speak up. If not, we will take a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Again, the ayes have it with no opposing votes. It is unanimous. We are at the time of our meeting for public comments, and we do have members of the public here. So this is the time to hear from them. Anybody wishing to speak? Rick.
This is my second meeting that I've been to.
Well, you are a
My wife's
regular.
first meeting, and this is her last.
Uh,
I just want to take a moment and thank you all
Bookends.
for what you have done. This is amazing. Thank you.
You were a big part of it yourself.
Yes.
Thank you. Any, Barbara?
The Belleville Area Council for the Arts is sponsoring a film discussion group here at the library. And we want to thank Mary Jo for her cooperation. I gave her the list of films tonight. We're having John Monahan, who is the retired film critic from the Detroit Free Press. He will be leading the discussion groups. And that will, we haven't set a schedule yet, but we think it'll be 3 in the spring and 3 in the fall. And we're very grateful to Mary Jo for her support. And the Friends of the Library are also supporting it. So it's going to be a partnership.
Good. Well, the library, speaking on behalf of the library, we're always happy with the many partnerships that we have with the Belleville Area Art Committee for the Arts. So we're glad to glad to have that event in our space. So thank you. Are there other comments? Nice to have the public here to make some comments. We have some other kind of routine business for our last meeting, and that is the meeting dates. Closure, I mean, not meeting dates, the closure dates, the dates during 2023 that the building will be closed, and of course. Oh, excuse me, yeah, we have meeting dates and closure dates. And I guess the first one we're gonna do is the meeting dates, and that's for all of us. It's again the second Tuesday.
We're gonna
Make a
meet on,
motion.
we're gonna meet on Valentine's Day.
We have,
That's on America.
I think it is too.
I'll bring you some chocolate.
I thought that was kind of unfair. We're married to the library. Well, Rick, you can have a date on Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Make a motion to approve the date, the meeting dates.
Been moved by Tibbet,
Oh, second.
supported by Dawson, who doesn't have to come to any of them. That the meeting dates that are, appear on the list be approved. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying no. The ayes have it, and those are the dates we will be meeting in 2022. Now, on to the closure dates. These are the dates we ordinarily close. And, well, we can have comment after we get the things moved.
I make a motion to approve the closing dates. I'll second.
Been moved by Chehevitz and supported by Priest that the closure dates as submitted be approved. Prior to voting, I wanted to bring up the fact that there has been something for us to think about. We don't have to do it at all right now, but there's been a new federal holiday enacted since we last approved these dates, and that's Juneteenth. And there's always a question as to whether or not you want to have an entity like a library closed on that day, or whether you want to use an entity like a library to celebrate that day. So since it's a new holiday, we could, I just thought I wanted to bring that up and see what people felt.
Usually in June, we have the Strawberry Festival, and we eliminated that.
Yeah, and we did have closure dates for that, that's
We did.
true.
So I make a motion that we have a day off for Juneteenth. I don't know the exact day in June. but,
It's usually the 19th.
What day of the week is that?
The 2023, it's gonna be a Monday, I believe. This is also a state holiday.
And a federal
And as
holiday.
well as a
It's a
federal
federal
holiday.
holiday and a state holiday, that's why we're bringing it up. Because,
after Father's Day this year.
yeah, so it's, yeah, just after when we would have ordinarily, when we used to have closure because of the Strawberry Festival. Yeah, well, I wanted us to talk about it because I didn't want it to just creep up on us and we had never thought about it. I don't know though if there was any notion that libraries be the place to do celebration.
That's how we do it. We're MLK and Juneteenth are floating holidays, so we're open, we do programming, but during that pay period, everybody has to get some time off, so you're staggering people off during that pay period, but not, you're still open that day.
That's a way to think about it, because so it's a federal holiday and a state holiday, but schools don't necessarily have to be closed.
MLK Day, they're closed, but then we get a lot of people come in for those programs that we're doing.
Yeah, people are always looking for programs.
Well, school would be out by June 19th.
Oh, yeah, that's true. People, I don't know, it's a question. Mary Jo, this is something that I think staff or your thinking would be helpful to us. What do you think?
I kind of go back and forth for some of the same reasons. It's a sign of respect to close. But it would be an opportunity for us to do some programming if we were open. federal buildings are closed, a lot of state buildings are closed, Wayne County, I did a little bit of research just to see it was closed last year. Since it is such a new holiday, it's kind of hard to gauge just yet. A lot of the courts work, Wayne County Clerk's Office, I believe, was closed last year. There are some municipalities and counties that are starting to close for this holiday. So I feel like it's something, if we don't do it this year, we need to continue to consider it, moving forward.
We could, it isn't until June, so we could make the decision later. It all
But the
depends.
motion.
There is a motion on the floor. Did it get a second? It was moved by Jarego. I don't know that there was a second. So it's still an option. I mean, without having to withdraw the motion, there's an option that we could consider this later, but it is something we really need to consider. And Joy, the idea that Joy put in is certainly a possibility. It could be in an area that there wouldn't be any other way to have the library might be a main place to have anything official, especially with schools being closed.
Well, that is what happens. On Juneteenth, there's a bunch of community events and we participate in those on the street, but the library is also open. But,
The
we
picnic
are union. So this was part of the union contract. It's a little bit different. But I think the staff are also on board that it's a national holiday, but it's also, I don't think it's disrespectful not to close. I don't think it's disrespectful to be open when we're doing programs directly related to those.
By not you're not ignoring a holiday.
No.
Well, board, we have a motion on the floor that has not been seconded, so it's not completely officially before us.
I think staff should be, I don't know if the staff have talked about, but I think staff should be consulted about
Talk
their
a little bit,
ideas.
but
Well, how would it be if we approved the list as it is now and we hold this issue of Juneteenth? For there to be a little more staff input so that we get a clear sense of where you feel things should go. Okay, then am I to assume, Mr. Juriga, that you would move this list?
It's understood, and if it's not seconded, it's not an issue.
No, but we gotta get this in front, the regular. So this list of closed dates has been proposed by trustee Juriga and is supported by.
so we have, I think Joy and Linda approved the original.
Yeah.
Before John made his motion.
Yeah.
They made a motion to approve these.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
They did, I didn't.
Oh.
yeah.
Heaven forbid I should get
Detail.
tripped up on Robert's rules of order. Okay, so we have this motion in front of us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed by saying no. The ayes have it with no dissenting votes, and we will revisit this issue in a couple of months in a timely manner so that there's plenty of time before the date to let the public know what we're gonna do. Thank you. And please excuse me, I'm not keeping up with our motions properly. Gee whiz. Now we are at committee reports. And
I have no building committee.
there's no building committee report, which really takes back Joy and John and Mary Jane and me. There's nothing new under the sun on our building. So I guess we move along. We have the bylaws committee.
I have nothing.
which has no report. Our treasurer is not here and I am not aware that there is a report, or did she leave anything for you? No report. Our marketing committee.
No report.
You wanna talk for a while? Well, our personnel committee,
Can we come back to this in just a little bit?
we will come back in the end of, later in the meeting, because we're awaiting some paper.
A delivery that
Yeah,
I left in my printer.
Oh, your printer worked.
so, but we're blaming poor Randy for
Poor
something.
Randy, and-
Actually, she's pressed Randy into,
Walking here because my car's in the shop, so I have his. It's a comedy of errors, and I know no one else has ever experienced these kinds of things.
and Randy,
Let me go get him.
He's walking here. I don't know which way he came.
does he have his phone with him?
Oh, maybe.
Why don't
not.
you, why don't you, oh, you don't have yours, well, that.
Well, I could tell him. Let's see where he is.
Or we could just move on to the
We
policy
can-
committee.
We
Yeah.
can move on, yeah, the policy.
I know, we can try calling.
Okay.
Is he bringing the dog?
Yeah, he is actually, probably.
So we will move on to the policy committee, which we do have a report this time, Miss Dawson, because we don't let you off easy.
I know. So, we've been looking at, well, at that whole list of policies, but one in particular is the behavior of patrons.
He says 2 minutes.
Okay.
And I couldn't print a copy of it.
You can come over and use my printer.
I'm sure it's something, it's probably, operator here. Anyway, you haven't talked to Anne, right?
I am waiting for an email back from her, our, attorney Ann Sarek, who specializes in policies, had given us a template of a behavior policy. So the committee had gone through it and had suggested some changes. After that, I had a couple of staff members also go through it and kind of get their input too. And so I kind of pulled all of this together, sent it back to Anne, and then she sent me something back. So it's one of these situations where it's going back and forth.
It's sort of in the cyber mail
Yeah,
kind of thing.
so I'm waiting for a conference call with her to iron out a couple of
But-
of the details. Well, the majority of it, I think, is ready to
Yeah,
go.
we thought it
So,
looked good.
mhm.
So it wasn't your intent for us to take action tonight.
No,
Yeah.
So yeah, we can just go ahead and discuss a little more until our next item on the agenda comes back upstairs. The behavior policy that you looked at in the committee. Were there specific items that you all and staff recommended to?
There were a couple of things that I questioned, but seeing as I didn't bring that piece of paper with me. One, do you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. So one in particular was animals, therapy dogs, and then there are
service animals.
service animals, and then there are the therapy animals, and they're not always a dog or a cat or a bunny.
The therapy animals, right?
Right.
Because the airline,
I've seen stories on TV of therapy animal. This guy has this alligator on a leash.
right, and
And what was it, about 6 feet long, something like that?
goats and
There was
stuff like
somebody in
People have
Belleville on the
peacocks.
corner they had 2 big pigs. We're not talking those little ones. Full-size hogs from that table to the end of the
Oh
table.
my God.
They would graze on their property here on River Drive.
But they didn't try and bring them in the library.
No,
Oh, okay.
but they considered them therapy animals.
So we sort of have to hone that down.
Yeah,
You can't, I mean, there are certain animals that could aggravate the public, or the public could aggravate them, and
and it wouldn't be good.
yeah, it'd be a big story on the front page.
Right.
How would you manage that as a director? I don't understand.
Well, that's what.
By
we're
having,
pushing.
by having a good policy.
Yeah, okay.
Well, certainly service animals
Yeah.
have some kind of
They're
credential.
protected.
Yeah.
And we would
And
not
this, I
want
think, and I
to.
believe the
preclude-
definition of a service animal is very specific. I think
Yes, but it does
like a
not
pet.
have to be marked in any way.
I know.
Doesn't have a collar saying, please
Does
don't
not
fend
have
if the
to,
dog is
yeah.
working.
And people who want
Yay,
to break
Randy.
those rules, you can't
You
ask
gave
them
him,
why they
You
need.
can ask for a certificate.
No. No, you can't ask for anything, you can just say, I'm sorry. Is there a reason your dog is in the library on a rope around his neck? And, he held up the ADA, law and said, you're not allowed to ask them that.
what?
And that's true, he is right, ask and sure.
Yeah.
Yep, you cannot ask. Why, what is their disability or any kind of questions related to that, even if the
Can
dog
you-
is
You
no,
can ask if it's a therapy,
well,
if it's a service. animal,
service,
can you
yes,
not?
you can, I can, I did ask, because the dog barked and like. But you can have
You can
policies
adjust
that say.
the behavior.
That's right, you
but-
can have policies that say if a dog, if an animal is disrupting the public, or if they are. Urinating or defecating on the
No.
rugs and those kinds of
No,
things.
on our
that-
carpet. Not on this carpet that we worked so hard to choose.
Ponies are in there. as-
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mini ponies, mini horses.
Let's see a Clydesdale walk.
Many,
You saw those things that the airlines went through about all these people.
Oh, yeah.
That called every kind of animal their
but
therapy.
those are, the birds and the rabbits and all that are not protected under the ADA.
They're not. Okay. So it's just particular animals that
so
are.
anyway, we just want some more information
Yeah.
from Ann
Right.
and try to.
So if somebody comes walking in with a crocodile.
They're not protected.
See this.
So if someone-
Mary Jo, please leave your python at home.
So if someone comes in with a dog right now, what do you do?
If the dog is being well behaved, we assume it's a service animal.
Okay, I'll just have to tell my husband. I've never asked anybody except for, this was a couple we'd never seen before, and they had two dogs on just ropes around their neck, no leash or just a rope, no collar. But he was ready. He was ready.
And were the animals acting up? Were they?
They barked,
disrupt-
one of them barked,
Um,
and that's why my staff fetched me.
Well, we definitely need to make sure we don't have things that disrupt other parts of the public.
Right.
Protecting
Some
one
people
part
are
of the public
afraid.
and alienating others would be a problem. So it is, clearly, it's something that we need to have a policy on, and it's something that the policy needs to be thought through, so. That's the purpose of these report backs from the committee to the full board, so all of us are aware of what the committee has been doing. And Mary Jane, are you willing to continue to serve on the policy? Well, you don't have to be a member of the board to serve on the policy.
Right, but
You don't have, you won't have to chair it. You wouldn't have to chair it.
no, that's fine. That's fine. Technically, I'm still a board member until he gets
Right.
Sworn in.
sworn
Sworn
in.
in, right.
Which
Or we
is
could have-
January 10th.
Are you saying that we might have a policy committee meeting on Christmas Eve or something
No,
like
no,
that?
She's passing on the baton is what she's saying.
No, but the call that Mary Jo wants to do with the.
Hopefully that will be before Christmas.
Yeah,
so,
we're
yeah.
hoping
So
that
you
we
could
can
do
get it
that.
scheduled
All
before
right.
Christmas, so.
So
There
you
is a
could,
policy to vote on possibly in January,
okay,
even though I won't do it.
but you can recommend
Right.
and be engaged in this. So this is ongoing. When we opened this issue of the policies, we had indicated it was gonna be something we'd be looking at over time. And we aren't talking about the building every month, so talking about our policies. So anything else to report on the policy committee. Any other questions that the rest of the board has about this policy review? Well, then we can move on with our committee reports, correct? And our timing is perfect because item F that we moved past is this is the 1 month in the year that it's most important for this.
No.
Oh, I've
Wrote over
checked, I've written over it, I can't even read it anymore. Item E, we'll go back to item E, which is the Personnel Committee report, which is a report that happens in December, and our able Personnel Committee Chair, Linda Priest, will take it from here.
Okay, well, earlier this month, the Belleville Area District Library Personnel Committee distributed director evaluation forms to all board members in order to evaluate the BADL director, Mary Jo Suchi. The committee wants to thank all of you for taking the time to thoughtfully complete and return these forms in a timely manner. The director was evaluated in the following areas: applied library knowledge, relationship development, leadership and management, and marketing and program development. In this evaluation, we used a scale of 1 to 6, with 6 being outstanding and 1 being unsatisfactory. The evaluations were anonymous and included a comment section for each category. In this comment section, board members were encouraged to use specific examples, positive or negative, in order to provide more meaningful feedback to Mary Jo. The completed forms were collected and the ratings tallied. We then summarized the information in order to share it with Mary Jo. The results of the evaluation show that Director Suchi is performing her job at a very high level in all 4 categories. The accompanying comments were overwhelmingly positive and related many examples where Mary Jo went above and beyond what was required, and that she had a warm and welcoming relationship with the library patrons and staff. After discussion with Mary Jo regarding these results, we then focused on the goals that she had set for this past year: passing the library bond and improving the library's website. Our library bond was successful and will allow us to continue to give the great service our patrons have come to expect. The library's website will continue to be a goal for the coming year, and she will also focus on updating library policies. The Personnel Committee will be recommending a salary raise for Mary Jo, but we have decided to postpone all salary discussions until the data from the Detroit Suburban Roundtable becomes available in January or February. This report will have an overview of library personnel salaries and benefits in our area, and will be very helpful to us in our discussions. Negotiations for changes in the minimum wage and sick leave are also going on now and would affect our salary and benefit decisions. We will inform the board of our determinations after we consider this data. So that'll be in the next few months.
So in that, you don't have an actionable item today that the board has to.
No, not at this time.
But
It'll
we
probably be
do,
January or February.
we do appreciate the analysis of the process that you all went through and the analysis of the input that you got. And I think the board can all take heart to the finding of the policy committee that our director has been giving us outstanding service.
We're very lucky.
Yeah. And in this, if we, Linda, in your report also, it's implicit, we're talking about that we would be enacting, based on the input from the area-wide report, we'd be enacting, but it would be retroactive for the year so that it would affect for the year. Do we ordinarily go from calendar year or?
That would be up to the board to decide how they want to handle that.
But ordinarily, we don't go on the fiscal year, we go on the calendar year.
Right.
Okay, so it would be up to the board, and the likelihood would be that the board would look at
And
making
then I'll
it,
make that a note of that. We'll
that
discuss that. and-
there may be
When we
some
discuss-
retroactive
Right.
adjustments that we
Mhm.
would want to make. So we can't talk about that she has to accept we'll have to hold back that whatever we act on, she can't refuse it and give it to the rest of the staff.
Can I ask why this year? We don't usually wait for the DSRT reports.
But we usually use it. Are they later
They're
than usual?
later, and we've been, like last year, we had to use the one from the prior year, so we were looking at like, by that time. Old data, anecdotally, when I'm seeing job postings come through, I'm seeing salaries that are. Higher than what we're able to compete with, so I really wanna make sure that we have the latest data before we make any decisions.
And
Also,
also
just
the
to make
minute,
sure that we're being competitive.
and also the minimum wage and the sick leave.
Yeah, there are some laws that are potentially being enacted in February that will,
But we're talking about your
Right.
I don't wanna.
evaluation.
I don't wanna raise before my staff gets raised.
We usually do them all together.
So in a way,
Since I
so in a
would
way,
with that, okay.
so in a way,
Since I've
she's
been doing it.
rejecting a raise until the staff gets a raise, but also we have traditionally. Enacted the raise for the director, and that has had an impact on staff, on the decisions about staff. Mary Jane.
So if all of this is based on a report that comes out in January, why are we doing the evaluations in December if we don't, shouldn't we change?
She's saying it's late this year.
But is it normally done in January? When is it normally?
December.
We had it, we used it last year.
No, we used it.
Oh, she said it was an old
It was
one.
a
I
old
would
one.
remember tying doing your.
To me, it would make more sense.
Raise,
It has
with your staff's raise at the same meeting, so that's why I guess I brought it up. I thought they were coming, they were. I
Well,
don't
and
even
in
remember
years
being-
past, it wasn't something we necessarily looked at every year.
Right, but if we're going to,
So,
that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Then maybe it should be done the first of the year rather than the end of the year.
Well, it's not a bad idea.
I remember we asked you last
Mhm.
year when we went,
Mhm.
You know,
Andy and I were
especially
talking
trying
about
to
it, we
hire
needed-
people.
but we needed to have something to base.
Right.
And tell you why we thought
Right.
everybody.
Right, and it had been a
Right,
couple of years
Right,
since we
and
looked
we,
at
so we
it, so.
didn't wanna
yeah.
just off the top of our heads say,
Right.
they deserve it. So that's why we asked her to have some numbers for us.
And there are some new things coming in February that potentially minimum wage is going up to $12 an hour. There's a new law potentially going into effect that requires paid sick time, like one hour paid sick time for every 30 hours worked, and that's for across the board, part-time, full-time. So there are some things like that we need to kind of evaluate.
But again, the point about those issues don't affect your
Right.
remuneration. Because we
But
are not
don't
gonna
they-
pay you the minimum wage.
No, I'll tell you that.
But if you're basing your hiring, the salaries that you offer to prospective employees,
Mhm.
if you're basing that on these numbers, it does make a difference.
Well, those numbers are not gonna reflect what's coming up, they're gonna reflect what's already been this past year.
But you can see a trend.
That could
Yeah,
potentially-
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, next year. What's coming up will affect. Next year's,
For a long while now, so
Evaluation.
everything has been going up a little bit, but kind of stagnant. And
Uh-huh.
the past couple of years, things have really changed.
We also felt, let's face it, we have very good staff and we
Mhm.
wanna keep them.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that's why we wanna make sure we're offering them a competitive salary. And so we wanna have the numbers to show it because probably they're looking at them. They're finding out.
no,
what's
I'm not,
going
I
on.
wasn't disputing any of that, I just,
So then it does make
I
sense.
was
to move
just
it.
saying to.
Well, because we didn't wanna retroact, we start the salary in January, we did the meeting in December to decide. And last year we made the decision in December,
Yeah.
but no. I don't know if it's always gonna be like that, is my point.
Well, Joy has made the appropriate point that the board itself only controls the directors.
Right.
Right.
Remuneration. But our understanding and this is the way we have been moving, that we look at our staff, we look at our salaries in a holistic way. We could take two different actions and do them in different. It
Which
sounds
is what I thought we had already always done, but I might be
Yeah.
remembering it wrong.
Well, when we talk about it, she talks about it with us. We discuss it, and I think it's very nice that she does.
Well, it sounds from the report we have received that this year, we have been doing this in December. This year, we will be deferring to January or February, but I think the board, what I'm hearing from the board is the board doesn't want to just see this as something that's put off because of waiting for the area-wide reports and things, so. Do we wanna go to a date certain, the February meeting or the January meeting, or how do we want
In the
to?
future.
How
I
do
would
we?
say probably February would be the meeting that we would be able to. be
What do you
most
think,
certain.
Mary Jo?
Here, Joe, would kick it down the road and not let us pay.
No, I don't wanna kick it down the road, I would assume by no later than the February meeting that we would know something. That we would have the time to look at that report. Hopefully the January meeting.
have
I
a
can't
personnel
promise
meeting
that,
and-
Have a personnel meeting, yeah.
Okay,
If it's likely not to come out until January, it would be very difficult for us to be ready by the January
Right.
meeting. So.
Right. that's true.
Perhaps we
February would be
want to say the February meeting, and hopefully we won't have to make
And
Randy.
if we're pleasantly surprised and we can do it in January, then
Yeah,
we will.
hopefully we won't have to make Randy Priest walk over here in the dark again.
He was surprisingly nice about it.
That's on the recording.
Oh,
Oh.
shame on me. Yeah, we didn't say anything there, but we all have to remember it about the hand over the mouth.
Well, those who are married, this goes both ways. I say it just, and sometimes do.
Well, then again, on the personnel and policy committees, we are receiving the committee report. As often we did with the building committee as well as in this case, we don't have board action that we have to vote on any of these, so. But on this one, both of them we're looking at action in the near future. We do have one other committee, the art committee, which as I know of hasn't met, but we do such lovely things with that. Mary Jane, Mary Jane has already said in other areas that she would continue to serve on the art committee. Do you have anything that needs to be shared? We talked last time about Michelle Montour putting up the
winners.
presentation that's currently in our display area, the temporary exhibit. And I don't know that there was anything else that we had.
I don't know how long that display was gonna be up.
I think we were hoping to get student art, I think it was January or February, probably February, yeah.
That's the next.
Okay,
the
so,
next
and
display.
we have not had we do not have an official art committee to report on. When we do, usually Michelle Montour comes to the meetings and gives us those reports. So I think we are finished with our committee reports for this evening. And we can move on to such a fun item, the accounts payable. Accounts payable are in your
I
packet.
make a motion that we approve accounts payable as presented.
It has been moved by Dawson and supported by Kehevitz that we approve the accounts payable as presented. There are often questions. It's appropriate for us to all be clear on what we're paying money for. So if there's anything on here that people are confused by this, or just have a question by, this is the time for the question. don't hear any such questions today. So, all those in favor of approving the accounts payable as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And all those opposed by saying no. There are no negative votes. The item is approved unanimously. And we can move on from accounts payable. We also, just as an informational item, have a last or a lingering item from our our construction manager.
Yeah, this was I believe this was their final bill.
Yeah, the remaining contract
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
there will be another one that you guys had approved a while ago, and it was dealing with the HVAC and the humidification system that we had held payment on. That one we're going to be approving, so we'll see the paperwork on that in the next meeting, but you already approved that. So that will prove to the end.
boy, oh boy, we won't know how to act. Well, good. And now this is one of the highlights for all of us for this meeting, and that's the director's report.
And in the same vein as everyone else, where did my report go? I wonder if it's in the-
Somebody.
I wanted to see So, I actually came up with a board manual binder for Dan.
Oh.
So I'm gonna give that to you. Don't be scared by it. It's kind of heavy.
You only have to memorize.
There'll be a test later, right?
There.
Some of us, they made us go to a meeting with the lawyer.
So
Oh, you could, that could still happen.
that has all of our policies in it. Also, in putting that together, I was looking at our statistics from the past 3 years, and it was like taking us from COVID through the current time, and just kind of watching the trends, how everything has been blossoming since then. So it's been very gratifying to see that net continues. We had a bustling day for Winterfest. We had a lot of activity going on in our building that day. It was a very, very high wind day. Animal Magic was scheduled to be outside, and there was no way they were gonna be able to do that, so they called me in the morning to see if there's any way they could do it at the library, so we did some quick changes to make that happen, so we had two of those programs in our building in the morning and the afternoon. The place was packed, with lots of kids in the kids room already. Yeah, and we did our, cookies and hot chocolate before the parade, we had Santa after the parade, so it was a very, very well attended day. I looked at the people counter for the day, and we had about 1,200 people in this building.
Wow.
So it was
Couldn't have done that in all.
very awesome. Yeah, we were hard pressed to do that, so.
Any damage or any?
No damage. Well, a little bit of, marshmallow fluff, I think. One spot. Other than that, we were able to rescue all of the other spills. So.
Well, it was a very successful community day, and it's wonderful to know that our library programming, our experience inside the building is equally successful.
We've been having, I think I might have mentioned this at the last meeting, there's a faulty circuit in one of our HVAC rooftop units. And like all circuits in life these days, we have not, that has not yet been received in order to replace that. They were able to do some tweaking so that it's not overly, it's still a little bit warmer upstairs than it should be. But they were able to kind of tweak some settings downstairs to try to even that out a little bit, so it's not quite as hot up here as it had been, so we're gonna have to live with it until we get that part. The humidification system appears to be working. That's something I do want to talk with Dan about, just to make sure that the settings are correct on that. I think they had set it to be 30 degrees outside or lower, and lower than 35% humidity, it would turn on. So,
I bet you do.
just to see if that needs to be adjusted at all, it should be going on at a higher temperature.
The building's supposed to be 35% humidity.
Yeah, and right now, and I have a humidity gauge in my office, it's probably about. It fluctuates between 28% and 30%, so.
I feel bad for the staff up here because it's 74 degrees. It's
Yeah.
a little warm.
So it's been, and it's been past couple of days that, I think they were able to at least do a temporary fix, so.
Yeah, I didn't write that down. I did write that they blew 2 fuses on that controller.
Maybe it was a fuse or circuit, something that
Yeah.
was computerish related, so. So we're still waiting for that part.
Several of the things you've covered on.
Yeah. And I just also wanted to take an opportunity to thank MJ for all of her years of service. We call each other MJ and OMJ.
Yeah,
Right.
she's OMJ1 and I'm OMJ2.
So other MJ and other MJ, so.
Now you don't have that problem.
I know, I know what I'm gonna do.
I don't know, all of us will probably call the two of you by each other's names for
Forever.
ever and ever and ever.
So, but it's been a pleasure.
It was a great experience and I learned a lot from everybody.
Well, this whole evening before the meeting and as the meeting ends, we'll have a lot that we will still be commenting on that same topic because it deserves a lot of comment. Is that concluding your report? Are there questions of the director on her report? There are items that she included in here, including the computer classes from January through April, which is something I really think we should push. I saw a letter in the paper, I think, lately about appreciating the computer classes at the media center, didn't I?
Not the classes, but just the media.
The media center and computer access, I think was in that
I
letter.
love this, but I think it needs to say which location it's at somewhere.
Good point.
I'll tell the person doing the program.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Because this is to be the Sumter
Mhm.
branch. You know, I had a friend come from Detroit.
Library.
I had a friend come from Detroit to meet me at this library. And she punched into her GPS Belleville Library. And it took her to Sumter, but it had Belleville Area District Library was here. So I don't know whether, the MapQuest never gets me home. It gets me about 7 houses down the street and tells me I'm home. So I know I don't know what you can do with Google Maps to fix them, but we do need to, it may be a question that we need to address, making sure there's a good understanding every time we're talking to somebody, making sure we let them know which building and are a little more intentional about it.
I'm sure Google Maps is wondering why I keep parking in the middle of the library.
Oh, they still have the library. They still show the library being over there where the parking lot is.
And we're gonna get the new signage for down at the media center where people aren't, I think the sign is parallel to the road or something, and you don't actually see it until.
We have had people commenting, it's hard to see,
Yeah.
it's tucked back there, and even in that little letter that
I think
was.
they're actually gonna be putting up some type of address sign so that you'll be able to see
See
that
it from the road.
Yeah, even in that recent letter, the person commented that it's tucked back in this little building that you can hardly find.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's very nice though.
It is
Very,
nice,
very
and we
nice.
need to, that's another thing besides policies to attend to, we need to attend to making the public more aware and utilize, to utilize that resource. And we do have our trainings down there, our computer class.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things that would have eliminated the possibility of your friend going to the wrong place is
If I told her,
no, no.
that's what I thought.
My suggestion prior to the media center being refurbished and this building going up was to name it the Alan Bates Bill Hand Memorial Media Center. Those were two guys that were on that group with Greg.
You know, we ran that by some of the official Sumter people.
Yeah, well,
And they said that, but we could butt out of their business.
call.
They
Anyway,
they
another
seem to
day.
feel it wasn't ours. But that it would be appropriate Bates, and you know, it was kind of poignant that we were still in the midst of a lot of doing in order to, and lost several of the people that were
Yeah.
helpful.
And one of the things too was, I remember Rick coming home from one of the first meetings when they were trying to get the district library agreement, you know, fixed. And he said, Alan Bates is concerned we're gonna put a Commodore 54 in a closet and call it a day.
Well, we did better than that.
Yes, we did, we did.
Well, that was a good spirited discussion, Madam Director, and that's what we're here for. And now it's the chance for all our trustees and then for me, the chair, to say what we need to say tonight. And I'll go back, well, I think I'm gonna end with John. Oh, that's my granddaughter who I cannot take.
Tell her what to say.
Yeah,
I
my
can't
grandson
take the
did some
call,
of
I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back.
Really quickly, let's get.
No. Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Just say no to a grandchild.
You cannot say no to grandchildren. I
don't
can't,
answer the
I can't
phone.
even turn off the phone. There. I can't, anyway. Excuse me and excuse me to the numerous members of the public who are for sure watching this meeting. But it is time for us to have our trustee comment. And I think I will start with Linda.
Well, I just want to say I went to Winterfest. Loved you in the parade, John. And I came into the library and everybody seemed to really enjoy the hot chocolate and the coffee and the cookies and had some nice things to say. And some of them, it was their first time being here. So it was a really good way to introduce them to the library. There were people in here to talk to them too. So I really enjoyed it. That it was a very, and thinking about the days when we walked from the high school, freezing, giving out
In the
candy.
parade.
In the parade. I like this better.
Thank you. Alma, we'll give you a second.
Because I need to get.
We'll give you a second.
My words of wisdom.
One of my granddaughters says to me, give me a minute on the phone. She's 5 years old. Give me a minute. So I've learned to give people a minute.
Well, and I just wanted to say congratulations to John for serving as Grandmaster.
Thank you.
Marshall. Sorry, I missed the parade. And MJ, you are truly gonna be missed, but you won't be a stranger here.
Right.
So best
Thank you so
wishes and thank you for the time that you've served.
Welcome. We'll keep you on speed dial.
Oh, yeah, there'll be a lot of questions that'll come up. Who knows? We'll have to call MJ. Joy?
Well, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to come. We had our own thing the night before and I was still whipped from that. But I'm really glad it was successful. And MJ, you're leaving me alone out here. You guys like, ah! Oh, well, I remember that very first meeting when we had to come up with all of these, we had to approve all of these things on bylaws, how we were gonna run the meetings, there was all. I
It's
don't
like
even
pages
remember.
and pages of.
Yes,
agenda.
and I was like, what have I got myself into? I don't even, I'm a librarian, I don't understand half of these things. So. It's been good going the distance with you.
Thank you. You too.
We've learned a lot along the way too. And I know we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you and your hubby.
Well, it's a team effort. Everybody worked.
I think I'll call on John before I call on Mary Jane. John?
Gonna miss MJ big time. We spent the planning, the planning group,
Building?
building committees, spent 200, this is my diary speaking. My diary says we spent 256 hours together with the attorneys, the construction people. And the construction company, and it was just amazing results. We're really proud of it. Second thing is, went over Mary Jo's evaluation really quick. She's an outstanding director. Thank you. And I love looking at our numbers. So far, we had 52,000 people come through the library this year with 108,000 things checked out, which is pretty impressive compared to the other building.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And I don't think we're even up to speed yet, post-COVID.
That's right.
No.
Yeah.
That's right.
We are, it's just phenomenal. And with that, I think it's your chance to talk with us a little more, although I can't imagine that you won't sometimes come and be public comment for us.
Oh, I am. I told John I was gonna sit right over there so I could keep an eye on.
I feel more confident already.
It has been an education, a trip, an exciting experience being on this board. And even if I'm not in the library, but I drive by, I'm like, that was something that we did for this community, which I think has made a big, big difference, especially for people who, like you said, Linda, it was the first time that they came into the library was for hot chocolate and to see Santa after the Winterfest parade. You know, I think slowly but surely the people that maybe didn't think we needed one because they think can be gotten online, or you can go to Barnes and Noble and buy a book or whatever. I think they're really beginning to realize how important libraries are and how wonderful this one is for the community, the programs, the staff. The staff is outstanding, outstanding. And I really like our director. I'm really glad we hired her a few years ago. Yes, yes. So
She's got a name like yours, and that's, you want to make sure.
there's really nothing else for me to say other than I know the rest of you are going to continue to do great work. And Dan is going to be a wonderful addition to this board. He comes from good stock. I know his parents. Yes. So I wish you all well. Yes, if you need something, please call me. I'm still open to helping with events.
We won't,
Want to stick around and train me?
we won't make you carry the whole thing on your shoulders anymore.
But yes, thank you.
We thank you. Actually, in addition to celebrating Mary Jane, we have really a fantastic year to celebrate. In the last couple of years, especially with COVID, it's been so frustrating because we couldn't really finish the year. We couldn't finish what we had stuff in motion. 2022 has allowed us to really do all the things that we had planned to do in order to not just get the library built and open, but get it really working. And again, we are not yet there. We've got a lot of people in this community who have not been in here, or if they've been in, they've just come in and gone to the meeting room and not gone through the whole thing. So all of us have, you know, it's always a great chance to say, meet me down there, and then I show people around and they're always happy whether they're from this community or not. It's a great place to celebrate, and it especially makes me think of this group and of Mary Jane, her leadership. I thought earlier, you know, we did celebrate Mary Jane a little bit prior to this meeting, and we talked a lot, as we have in this meeting, about the development of the library. We've talked over the years about it, but it might be a good idea if we talk to Mary Jane and Debbie Green and others, that we capture as much of that, so that it's not just anecdotal items that we talk about here and there. Because if it's left to some of the rest of us, we're not going to be able to fill in the details so well. So I thank Mary Jane for that knowledge, and I'm giving you forewarning, we may be asking you to help us compile with some of the other people who went through every step with you. But we're fortunate. We're fortunate to celebrate this building. We're fortunate to celebrate well-functioning public body that has been able to provide for the public. And I also wanted to mention, when we celebrated earlier, we were able to find something. Well, we've been thinking for a while, what might we want to do to recognize, to give Mary Jane something to think about us from. And Linda and I had talked about it, people that talked about this, that, or the other. And I understand there was a chance meeting at the back fence by Rick Dawson and John Jariga, and Rick said to John that really Mary Jane just loves this library, something that has meaning about the library would be wonderful. And our really brilliant director recognized the strengths and the talents she has in the staff here. And one of our staff members, who happens to be, I don't know if she is now, but at the beginning of this meeting, she was serving in the reference desk out here, is a fabulous artist, and was able to provide a way for Mary Jane to take home some remembrances.
At first, I thought you were gonna say I could move in.
Well, we can work on that. And if you've got your little bag with you, and you will show the people who didn't yet see these, they're just lovely.
So Noelle, who's at the reference desk out there.
Noelle Douglas.
She is a fabulous artist, and this is my little piece of the library.
It's adorable. And you see there's a rainbow. A rainbow, a library miniature.
That's from an actual photo that someone
Yeah.
took of the library.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different angle than usual.
Yeah.
And that's,
I will point out, it's the terrace that you can look out at the lake from that children's garden.
and then this happened.
Have fun.
Is that good?
Can you,
great.
Mary, can we go see if, is she still out there?
Yeah.
You can't go, Mary Jane, you're like, you know, this is your,
Okay.
this is your life.
This is your life.
This is your life, which that photo, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That,
You may have seen this guy in the middle of the bridge on the right side going north.
Yeah, that is a
Hold
great.
it up nicely, so I-
Do you want us to stand behind it? So.
Do you want to have the artist in it too?
Yeah,
Rick,
Rick.
you should get
Yeah,
up
Rick in there
there.
too.
You should wear the same hat, I
Doesn't
think.
need to be.
So,
This Noel.
Well,
Hey. Going on.
We really wanted something special for Mary Jane, and you have managed to do something that beyond what we had
amazing.
hoped.
Thank you.
And now everybody's taking pictures.
There you go.
Okay,
There you go.
I don't want to hold it in front of your
Yeah,
face. Amazing.
Got away, John.
Can I give you time out?
There's nothing wrong with John in the picture. That's Mary Jane's biggest job on the board.
Pictures are so awkward for me.
Yeah.
You're good with paintings, just not pictures.
Exactly, yeah, you get it, yeah. That's really
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Beautiful job.
Thank you.
You too. That is.
So we go into a holiday, we go into holiday, and by the time we next really convene, it'll be a whole new year. But man, oh man, I can't think of a better upper. Since I've been on this board, there's never been an end of the year where you feel this celebratory.
yeah.
And it's a fabulous feeling. I really appreciate it. And by popular demand, often the way that they shut me up and get this meeting over, we've had one person that helps to do that. But by popular demand, it's been asked that Mary Jane make such a motion.
Wow. You okay with
I
that?
can handle it.
He's gonna second
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I love you guys. And I will be back, and if you need something, let me know. I can give you my phone number if you need it.
I'm gonna need it.
Anyway, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that one.
It's been moved and seconded that the meeting be adjourned. It's not debatable. We are adjourned. Happy